On our last episode, I have come to the Pacific Northwest to do some sightseeing around the Portland area, which included the Oregon Film Museum and the quaint little seaside town of Astoria. And I also visited a number of film locations in the surrounding area, including locations from the popular Twilight Saga. However, my real reasons for this trip was to join an expedition in the Mount Hood area to search for the elusive Sasquatch. And hosting this expedition is none other than Animal Planet's Finding Bigfoot star, Cliff Bobo. And joining us on this search is Cliff's friend and co-host of Finding Bigfoot, James Bobo Fay. On our first night of investigations, I joined Bobo's team, and we trekked through the dark woods in search of Sasquatch, while entertaining each other with a casual banter about our personal encounters. Though things were quiet for our team, Cliff's team captured some very compelling audio recordings that may very well indicate the Sasquatch are in the area. Okay, well, we're gearing up and getting ready to head out on another adventure. We're splitting the team into three again. Bobo's team is going to be sitting at a campfire location while the other two teams circle the perimeter. With any luck, the Sasquatch will come in and approach the camp. This area has had a ton of activity, so we're hoping that this strategy, one of the teams might get lucky. This evening's strategy is one I'm quite fond of. I have used this approach on a number of expeditions, and it very often produces results. The Sasquatch are very curious animals, and they will often approach our camps to investigate curiosities. Music and lights can be an excellent lure, and I will never forget the time when legendary Bob Gimlin joined an expedition I was on and led our team in a fireside drum circle. Tonight, I have joined Bobo's team once again, and we will be relaxing fireside as the other two teams patrol the camp's perimeter. We're hoping that the Sasquatch will come in to investigate our camp, giving one of the two perimeter teams an opportunity to capture it on camera. So we've been continuing with the laser light show and the music playing intermittently throughout the evening here at the campfire. And we can hear some owls off in the distance, and we also may have heard a whoop. So we're hoping that the other teams that are moving around on the perimeters have also had some interesting encounters as well. So we're going to continue with our intermittent laser light show music playing, and we'll continue flaring the surrounding areas here, and hopefully we'll get lucky. We maintained our presence at the camp occasionally playing music and projecting the laser light show. And while Bobo roasted marshmallows for s'mores, a number of us kept a watchful eye towards the woods, using the FLIRs and the parabolic microphones. Upon Cliff's team's arrival back to the camp, things got interesting. Comparing notes, it was learned that the possible whoop that our team had heard was confirmed by Cliff's team, and the evidence was pointing towards the swampy area near where the vehicles were parked. Anxious to investigate, many of us grabbed our technologies and headed for the swamp.
It looked like it moved off a little bit.
We spent a considerable amount of time investigating the swampy area to no avail. Shortly after the other team had arrived back at the camp, we completed our night investigations and we returned to base camp. The next morning, we were up early and on the road, heading for the famous Glen Thomas site. Alrighty, we're at the famed Glen Thomas site. Pretty famous site in Bigfoot lore. We'll get into that in a minute. We're under a little bit of weather here, so we're going to quickly take some pictures and get out of here. We were getting a lot of lightning and thunder and so on, and Bobo's tall, so he doesn't want to get hit. I don't want to get hit, so we're going to take a few pictures real quick and get out of here. In 1967, a gentleman by the name of Glen Thomas allegedly had an encounter with a family of Sasquatch that were situated on this rock embankment. The family group consisted of a male, a female, and a juvenile. The male was engaged in moving rocks as it hunted for hibernating rodents. As the Sasquatch removed the rocks, it was observed that it would often stack these rocks on top of one another, instead of carelessly tossing them aside. I found this noted behavior intriguing. Eventually, after the male Sasquatch had dug a rather sizable hole, it reached its quarry, at which point the creatures would then feast on their prey. Mr. Thomas observed these creatures for a considerable amount of time until they became aware of his presence and then slowly moved off into the woods. With the weather less than ideal, we quickly snapped a few photographs before heading back to the vehicles. Another gentleman who was a part of Cliff's expedition team is Joe Beelart. Joe is co-author of The Oregon Bigfoot Highway, which is an outstanding Sasquatch research book focusing on the encounters documented along the Oregon's National Scenic Byway 5. Joe is an absolute wealth of information on the topic, and it was an absolute privilege to be able to spend time with him and to learn about his research. I also highly recommend his book, and I will add a link to it in the video descriptions below.
what I think is going on, yeah, they go down to the lowlands and whatnot and go foraging around for deer and rabbits and whatever they want to eat. But I think generally speaking, much like mountain lions, they hang out on these top ridges in these areas up above, keeping an eye on the roads down below so they can tell if people are in the area or if animals are crossing the road. They get a bead on what they want to know about, whether it's a threat like people or food like deer. And then they try to corner them by communicating to each other through knocks and calls and whoops to try to choke or push those animals into a choke point. And this area has all of that and more. So that's why we're going to go to this location tonight.
This is going to be our final night in the field. They call it the Hail Mary night. So we're just going to go out and really hit the forest hard and hopefully drum up some action tonight. Behind me is Cliff and Bobo's camp. We're gearing up now, getting ready to head out in the vehicles, and keep the fingers crossed. So far this expedition has been interesting. A lot of interesting audio recordings have been captured. We got some interesting vocalizations in the woods, some whistles, and just some curious sounds you don't normally hear in the woods. So Cliff is going to be consolidating all that information, sending it off to the appropriate analysts out there that are going to analyze the recordings and try to find out what we were hearing in the woods. But it has been definitely a very exciting expedition. We've been on the move constantly, running around a lot, and spending a lot of time in the woods. So hopefully tonight and our final evening in the woods, we'll get lucky. So keep the fingers crossed.
Yeah, you'll have whatever
You just might get some. So anyway, that's what Bobo's team wants to do. Scott was saying he wants to go on the crappy road, which is down and to the left, and it goes up to the power line. And then I'm going to take a team on the main road up on top, basically as far as...
Sorry, there's a Marco Polo.
Okay, basically as far as we need to go. And just kind of keep walking and see if they're on the ridge tonight. That's the general plan. Figure out what you want to do. You're welcome to do whatever you'd like to do. And if you have another idea, this is something I've not been saying enough of. If you have another idea of something you want to try, let me know. Let's do it. This is your trip, so whatever, you guys are an equal member of the team. I may have a little bit more experience, but you guys have great brains too. So let me know what you guys want to do, whether it's fun, weird, an experiment, or something you've tried before somewhere that you think would be valuable to try here. By all means, we are all equal members of the team. I'm an anarchist at heart. Let me know what you guys would like to do. I'm not in charge here. Okay?
That was great.
Alrighty, the teams are assembling. I'm going to team up with Cliff's group, and we're going to be one of the teams that's going to be moving around the perimeters. So we have the vehicles sitting here in the quarry. We have one team in the quarry. We've got another team heading in a different direction, walking the perimeter, and I'm teaming up with Cliff's group, and we're going to be heading south here on the perimeter of the quarry. So hopefully we'll get something interesting. This is our last night of investigations. So far it's been interesting, and this is the night we really want to go all out on the investigation, and hopefully we can get something interesting.
Tonight we are conducting night maneuvers around a large quarry. We'll be continuing with our previous evening's strategy, one that I'm quite fond of. Bobo's team will remain in the quarry and will create enticement using music and the laser light show, while the other two teams move around along the perimeter. With any luck, the Sasquatch will come in and investigate the goings-on in the quarry, giving the other two teams an opportunity to capture them on camera. I am on Cliff's team tonight, and we are walking along a dirt road that heads up to a ridge above the quarry. So far it's been pretty quiet. So to try to liven things up, we have decided it's time for some vocalizations. Cliff's team has just completed a wood knock, and Cliff is contacting Bobo's team, which has remained in the quarry, to invite them to respond to our knock with a vocalization. We remained in the area for a considerable amount of time, using the FLIR and the parabolic microphone to monitor the area. However, things were quiet, and we eventually resumed our trek along the ridge.
We just reached the power lines. Why don't you guys make a noise?
I have mentioned this in a number of previous videos, and I still find it a curious point that there are a ton of reports of Sasquatch being spotted poking around industrial areas where power is being produced or distributed, and another such location is along power lines, and as such, we made it a point this evening to spend some time investigating this area before moving on.
Line of sight. It's not going to reach him. He's on the other side of the hill. But hopefully we don't fool the other team into thinking they heard a Bigfoot. So who would like to do a yell, please?
I'll give it a shot, I guess.
Okay. Aim at the moon.
So we're still out doing our night investigation, and this has only happened to me maybe 3 times on expedition, but I definitely got this creepy vibe that something was following us. I was the last person on the trail, and I've been out in the woods a lot, and I've done a lot of solo backpacking in the woods, and it's very unusual for me to get that creeped out something's not quite right, and I did get that sense that there was something creeping around behind us. And once the group assembled, it turned out that there were 3 other team members that were also getting that weird creepy vibe that something wasn't right or something was behind us. This particular area has had a history of unusual things that some might consider paranormal in nature. It was pretty quiet tonight. Cliff did hear some things kind of off in the distance, and we did hear things poking around. So just kind of an interesting evening here. Well, we didn't find the elusive beast. However, spending time in the Mount Hood area and enjoying its natural beauty is always a blessing. And to be finally able to go squatching with Cliff was a true pleasure. He and his support team put together an incredible expedition, equipped with an absolute arsenal of technology. And having Bobo join us on the expedition was truly a life experience. We had some interesting evenings in the woods and had quite a few curious happenings. The evening of s'mores and fireside antics with Bobo and company is a memory I'll always treasure. And during our evening outings, teams did capture some very intriguing audio recordings, which could have very easily have come from a Sasquatch. And our visit to the legendary Glen Thomas site was truly amazing. During this expedition, I had the great fortune of meeting some truly incredible people and have made some new friends. Since I met Cliff in 2007, I have always been very impressed with his dedication and passion with the Bigfoot phenomenon, and I am very much looking forward to visiting the museum he's opened in Boring, Oregon, and hopefully someday I'll be able to join him on a future expedition. Please visit Cliff's website at cliffbarackman.com for the latest information in his search for Sasquatch, and if you ever have an opportunity to join him on expedition, I would highly recommend it. As always, I would like to thank you guys for joining me on my quest and for your continued support of my channel. And until next time, I'm Darren Smith, and I'll see you here at squatchspot.com.